I check my phone at stoplights more often than I probably should. Traffic on 880 heading back from a job site in Hayward. Tuesday evening. The kind of slow crawl where you have time to scroll through notifications, delete spam emails, and remember things you were supposed to do 3 hours ago. One of those things. Verify Tyler's college fund balance. He's applying to Cal State schools next week, and the financial aid forms need the exact number. Opened the 529 app. Balance. $0. Stared at it. Thought the app was glitching. Happens sometimes with banking apps when the servers refresh overnight or when you're in a dead zone for cell service. Refresh the screen. Still zero. The car behind me honked. Light was green. I pulled into a gas station off the next exit. Logged out of the app. Logged back in. Balance still showed zero. Opened the account history. Last 3 transactions visible, but the rest needed full login through desktop. Called the 529 custodian hotline. Got a recording. For account inquiries, contact your designated custodian directly. The custodian was Diane, Jessica's mom. She'd been custodian since the divorce 6 years ago. The decree required a neutral third party for the college fund, and Diane made sense at the time. Retired teacher, good with paperwork, lived local. We'd both contributed. I put in about $25,000 over 12 years. Jessica added another 15 through the child support arrangement we'd worked out. Should have been around $40,000 in there. I sat in the gas station parking lot and called Jessica. She showed up 45 minutes later. First time she'd been to my place in almost 2 years. We co-parent fine, good, even. But we do it through text messages and coordinated drop-offs at her apartment or mine. We don't do living room conversations anymore. We'd gotten efficient about not needing to. She walked in still wearing scrubs from her shift at the hospital. Looked tired, looked worried. "Show me," she said. I had my laptop open on the kitchen table. Pulled up the full account history. 3 large withdrawals spread across the last 18 months. June of last year, $14,200. December, $10,800. April, $15,000. All authorized by the custodian. Total, around $40,000. Jessica stared at the screen. Face going white in that specific way that happens when your brain is trying to reject information your eyes are confirming. This can't be right. My mom wouldn't. I was already dialing Diane's number. Jessica reached for my hand. Wait, maybe there's. Put it on speakerphone. It rang 3 times. Diane answered cheerful. That particular brand of cheerful that retired teachers deploy when they're in a good mood and expecting pleasant conversation. Owen, what a surprise. How are you? Where's Tyler's college fund? Pause. When she spoke again, her voice had shifted. Careful, slightly defensive. The tone you use when you know you're about to have to explain something you've been hoping no one would ask about. Oh, that? Yes, I was meaning to talk to you both about that. Jessica leaned closer to the phone. Mom? Honey, I had to use it. Connor's wedding last summer ended up costing way more than Walter and I expected. And then Mallory's wedding in December. And Walter's hip surgery wasn't fully covered by his insurance. There were medical bills. I kept my voice level. That's $40,000. Tyler's money. Diane's voice hardened. Not apologetic anymore, justified. Walter's children needed help starting their families properly. These are important life moments. Tyler can take out student loans like most kids do. That's what they're for. He'll be fine. You stole from your grandson. I didn't steal anything. Cold now, confident. Connor and Mallory are real family. Blood family comes first. Tyler is, well, he's from Jessica's mistake marriage. He'll figure it out. Kids are resilient. Silence. Jessica's hand was over her mouth. I hung up, looked at her. She was crying. Real family. The phrase hung in the air like a verdict. Diane said it about a 17-year-old who had spent every Christmas, every birthday, every summer vacation with her for his entire life. This wasn't a slip. This wasn't a moment of poor judgment under pressure. The woman on that phone call was confident. She had been thinking this way for years, probably since Walter and his biological children entered her life, and finally had an excuse to say it out loud. The man listening had just learned his ex-mother-in-law stole $40,000 from his son. But the theft wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the ease with which she dismissed a child she'd claimed to love. Some people reveal who they are in crisis. Others reveal who they've been all along. Jessica paced the kitchen, crying, not loud. The quiet kind where you're trying to hold it together and failing in slow motion. My own mother. How do I even... We have to sue her, right? Can we sue her? She doesn't have money. Walter's on disability. I don't even know. She has a house. Jessica stopped. What? I pulled up a folder on my desktop. Old documents I'd kept from 8 years ago. Mortgage paperwork. 6 months after your mom married Walter, they needed to refinance. Walter's credit was 510 after his bankruptcy. Bank wouldn't approve the loan without a co-signer with decent credit. Jessica was staring at me. You co-signed my mom's house? Yeah. When? 8 years ago. You and I weren't speaking then. Fresh divorce. Your mom called, said she was scared they'd lose the place. I did it so you wouldn't have to worry about her. Pulled up the document on screen. My name listed clear as day as co-borrower on a Wells Fargo mortgage. Jessica looked at the screen, at me, back at the screen. I never knew you did that. Wasn't trying to score points with you. We weren't talking. I just didn't want you stressed about your mom's housing situation on top of everything else we were dealing with. Tapped the screen where my name was listed. But now I have leverage. Opened a second document. 529 Plan Custodian Rules. I'd done some reading in the 45 minutes before Jessica showed up. When a custodian misappropriates funds from a minor's account, it's not a civil case. It's criminal. State Attorney General prosecutes custodian fraud. Jessica went pale. Criminal charges? Against my mom? Embezzlement from a minor. Felony threshold is anything over 10,000. She took 40. Opened a third document. Co-borrower rights and responsibilities. And because I'm co-signer on their mortgage, I can request a financial review. Mortgage company investigates the co-borrower's financial stability. If they find evidence of fraud, embezzlement, criminal behavior, anything that makes the borrower high risk, they can raise the interest rate, freeze any equity line of credit, or call the loan entirely. Jessica sat down. Processing. You're going to destroy her. I looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd been married to for 6 years before things fell apart for reasons that seemed important at the time and irrelevant now. She said Tyler wasn't real family. She stole his college fund and felt good about it, confident about it. Jessica was quiet for a long moment. Then, what do you need from me? Jessica left around 10:30 to check on Tyler at her place. I sat at my desk, opened 2 forms on my laptop. Form 1. Co-borrower financial review request. Wells Fargo Mortgage Services. Form 2. 529 Custodian Misappropriation Complaint. California Attorney General, Consumer Protection Division. Filled them both out. Tyler's information. Social Security number, account numbers, withdrawal dates, amounts. Diane's custodian designation documented in the divorce decree 6 years ago. No emotional language, no editorializing. Just facts laid out in the order they happened. Uploaded the scanned divorce decree showing the custodian arrangement. Hit submit on the first form. Confirmation email arrived in under a minute. Hit submit on the second form. Another confirmation. Sat back. My phone buzzed. Text from Jessica. Tyler asked why I was crying when I got home. I told him his college fund had a problem, but we're fixing it. He trusts us. Don't let him down. Typed back. Filed everything. Investigation starts Monday. We won't let him down. Sent it. Closed the laptop. Sat in the dark of my home office for a while. Thought about Tyler at 5 years old asking me if Grandma Diane was coming to his soccer game. Thought about him now at 17, applying to colleges, trusting that the money his parents had been putting aside for 12 years would be there when he needed it. It wasn't there. Because Grandma Diane chose weddings. I turned off the desk lamp, went to bed. Week later, I texted Jessica. Free this afternoon? Need to talk strategy. We met at Phil's Coffee in San Leandro. Neutral ground. Midpoint between my place in Fremont and her apartment closer to the hospital. We'd gotten good at choosing meeting spots that didn't belong to either of us. She walked in looking nervous, still in scrubs. Probably came straight from a shift. Did something happen? Reviews processing. Bank said 10 to 14 business days for the investigation. Should hear back soon. Slid my phone across the table. Screenshot of a text Diane had sent Jessica that morning. Can we meet? Discuss Tyler's college situation like adults? I know you're upset, but family works through things. Wednesday, 7 p.m., Russo's in Walnut Creek? Jessica read it. Looked up at me. She wants to meet. And we should let her. Jessica confused. You want to negotiate with her? No, she thinks we're coming to negotiate. We're not. We're coming to tell her what's already done. Both of us. Both of us. Tyler, too. Jessica set the phone down. He doesn't know the details yet, just that there's a problem with the fund. He should know. He's 17, college-bound in 4 months. He deserves to see us stand up for him, to watch what that looks like. Jessica thought about it, picked up her coffee, set it back down without drinking. Okay, Wednesday. Wednesday evening, I picked up Jessica at 6:45. She came out wearing jeans and a blazer. Not casual, not too formal. The kind of outfit you wear when you're preparing for something that requires both confidence and flexibility. Armor that doesn't look like armor. You ready? She got in the truck, buckled her seatbelt. No, but let's do it anyway. We picked up Tyler from her apartment. He came down the stairs looking confused. Why is Dad here? Jessica kept her voice steady. Grandma wanted to meet about college stuff. Your dad and I are both involved, so we're both coming. Tyler got in the back seat. Suspicious, but not arguing. Is this about financial aid? Something like that. We drove to Walnut Creek. Took about 25 minutes. Tyler asked a few more questions. We deflected with non-answers that sounded like answers. By the time we parked at Russo's Italian, he'd stopped asking. Russo's is upscale, white tablecloths, wine list on the back of the menu. The kind of place Diane liked because it made her feel generous when she paid and made other people feel like they owed her something when she did. Walked in. Diane and Walter, her husband of 10 years, retired postal worker who looked exactly like what you'd picture when someone says retired postal worker, were already seated at a corner table. Diane's face when she saw all three of us. Brief confusion. Then a smile that didn't quite make it to her eyes. Owen and Tyler, what a wonderful surprise. I didn't realize this was going to be a whole family dinner. I didn't correct her on the word family. We sat. Menus came. Small talk happened. The kind of conversation that fills space without saying anything real. Diane asked Tyler about his college applications. Any decisions yet, sweetheart? Waiting on financial aid packages to come through. Diane nodded like she was being understanding. Student loans aren't the end of the world. Plenty of kids take them out. You'll be fine. Walter, who I'd met maybe 6 times in 10 years and who had never once asked me a single question about my life, added his 2 cents. Built character for me. Paid mine off by the time I was 35. Jessica's jaw tightened. I could see it from across the table. I set down my menu. Actually, let's talk about that. Pulled an envelope from my jacket. Slid a paper across the table to Diane. This is a co-borrower financial review request. I filed it with Wells Fargo 8 days ago. They received it last Tuesday. Processing started Monday. Diane picked it up. Read the header. Looked at me. What is this? Walter leaned over. Read it. His face went red in the specific way that happens when a man realizes he's not in control of a situation he thought he was. What on earth? I kept my voice calm. Same tone I use when I'm walking a client through a project timeline and need them to understand something without getting defensive about it. I'm co-signer on your mortgage, have been for 8 years, which means I have the right to request a financial risk review of the co-borrower. Bank investigates your financial stability, If they find evidence of fraud, embezzlement, criminal activity, anything that makes you a high-risk borrower, they can raise your interest rate, freeze your equity line, or call the loan entirely. Diane's face was draining color. You wouldn't. I already did. The form is filed. The investigation is active. Tyler was looking between all of us, confused but paying attention. Walter stood up halfway, chair scraping. This is blackmail. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. Sit down, Walter. We're not done. Something in my tone. He sat. I slid the second paper across. California Attorney General. Complaint form for 529 custodian misappropriation. Also filed. 8 days ago. Diane looked at Jessica. Desperate now. Honey, you can't let him. Jessica stood up. Her voice was shaking, but it was loud enough that the couple at the table next to us stopped talking. Let him? I helped him. That account had my signature on it too. My son's money. And I will testify. I will give them every text message, every voicemail, every single time you said Tyler wasn't real family. Diane started crying. Real tears this time. I never said that. Jessica's voice broke slightly, but she didn't sit down. Yes, you did. You said blood family comes first. You said Connor and Mallory were real family. You said Tyler was from my mistake marriage. I was there. Owen was there. We both heard you. Tears running down her face now, but she kept going. I have spent 17 years letting you make me feel small, letting you criticize every choice I made, every decision. Every time I did something you didn't approve of, you made sure I knew. I'm done. Owen's not blackmailing you. He's protecting our son. And I'm with him. I stood up next to Jessica, touched her arm gently. Not controlling. Just there. Tyler stood too. Not sure what was happening, but following his parents' lead. Tyler would remember that restaurant for the rest of his life. Not the food. Not the legal paperwork his father had slid across the table. The moment his mother stood up and chose him over her own mother. The woman who had spent 17 years being made small by Diane, criticized, second-guessed, guilted at every turn, finally stood her ground. And the man standing beside her wasn't controlling the moment. He was witnessing it, protecting the space for it to happen. Kids know when their parents stop being a team. They can feel it in the air, in the silences, in the way drop-offs happen without eye contact. Tyler had felt that absence for 6 years. And in one moment, in an upscale Italian restaurant in Walnut Creek, he felt them become a team again. Not because they planned it, because their son needed them to be. We left, walked out through the main dining room, past the couple who'd been listening, past the hostess stand, into the parking lot. Tyler's first question once we were outside. What did Grandma do? Jessica and I looked at each other. She took the lead. Your college fund is gone. She took it. $40,000. Used it for Connor and Mallory's weddings. Tyler went quiet. I watched him process it. The way information lands on someone when they're 17 and still learning that adults lie. All of it? All of it. I added, we're getting it back. The lawyer stuff you showed her in there? Jessica nodded. Your dad filed complaints with the bank and with the state attorney general. She's in legal trouble, criminal trouble. Tyler looked at me. You co-signed their house? Long time ago, for your mom, so she wouldn't have to worry about her mom's housing situation. Tyler looked at Jessica. And you yelled at Grandma. Jessica's hands were still shaking. I've never done that before. Tyler's voice was steady. Good. She deserved it. He hugged Jessica. Long hug. Then he hugged me. We stood in the parking lot for a minute. No one saying anything. Jessica drove Tyler back to her place. I watched them pull out. Stood by my truck for a bit. My phone buzzed. Text from Jessica. Thank you for standing with me. I couldn't have done that alone. I typed back. You did it yourself. I just made sure you weren't alone when you did. Sent it. Got in my truck. Drove home. Something had shifted. Not fixed. Not resolved. But shifted. A door that had been closed for 6 years had opened slightly. Not all the way. Just enough to see what was on the other side. Maybe that was enough for now. 2 weeks after the restaurant, I checked my mail. Envelope from Wells Fargo Mortgage Services. Official. The kind with the company logo embossed on the corner and a return address that makes you take a breath before opening it. Opened it standing at my mailbox. Co-borrower financial review. Finding summary. Read it. Bank investigation confirmed custodian embezzlement from minor account. Ongoing criminal investigation by California Attorney General. High financial risk classification. Determination. Interest rate increase of 2.8% from 4.1 to 6.9, effective next billing cycle. Estimated monthly payment increase, $890. Credit line freeze. No equity withdrawals permitted until risk resolved. I photographed the letter with my phone. Texted Jessica. Bank results. Check your email. Sent the photo. She replied in under a minute. Holy Jesus. It gets better. Check the AG portal. Few minutes later. Investigation active. Custodian interview scheduled for next week. I put the letter on my kitchen counter. Stood there for a bit. System was working exactly like it was supposed to. That evening, I drove to Jessica's apartment with pizza. Tyler was at a friend's house. Jessica opened the door with red eyes. Had been crying. My mom called 17 times today. Did you answer? She shook her head. We sat on her couch. Ate pizza from the box. The kind of comfortable silence that happens when two people have known each other long enough that not talking isn't awkward. Jessica broke it. She left a voicemail, said Walter's furious, said they can't afford the new mortgage payment, said I'm destroying her life. She destroyed Tyler's college fund. This is the consequence of that. Jessica nodded but looked torn. She's still my mom. I know. That's why this is hard. If it were easy, it wouldn't mean anything. We sat there, pizza getting cold. Connor called me. I looked up. I told him everything. Sent him the account statements, the withdrawal dates, the amounts. What did he say? He didn't know. Diane told him the wedding money came from savings that Walter had put aside. He's horrified. My phone buzzed later that night. Unknown number had added me to a group text. Connor and Mallory. Connor. This is Connor. Mallory's here too. We got Jessica's call. We need to know if this is actually true. I typed back, yes. $14,200 for your wedding. $10,800 for Mallory's. $15,000 for what Diane called Walter's medical bills. All from Tyler's 529 college fund. Your stepmom was the custodian. She took it. Long pause. 3 dots, appearing and disappearing. Mallory. We didn't know. We asked where the money came from multiple times. She said Dad had savings from his postal pension. Connor. Jesus Christ, Mallory. We're paying it back. Me. Talk to your dad and Diane. This is between them and Tyler. Connor. No. This is on us too. We took money that wasn't ours even if we didn't know it. We're fixing it. Lies collapse the moment truth walks into the room. Diane had spent $40,000 buying gratitude from Walter's children, and then told them the money came from their father's savings. She thought that was the end of it, that she'd successfully repositioned herself as the generous stepmother who helped launch 2 weddings. But lies don't stay contained. They leak. They find witnesses. And when the people you lied to discover they were made complicit in something ugly, they don't thank you for the protection. They get furious. Connor and Mallory weren't just horrified to learn the money was stolen. They were angry that Diane had turned them into accomplices without their knowledge. The weddings they'd celebrated were funded by a teenager's college savings. That's a weight you can't unknow. Connor texted me the next day. At the house, confronted them. Dad threw Diane completely under the bus, said it was all her idea. She's saying you're manipulating everything and lying. It's a mess. Are you safe? Yeah, leaving now. Dad's talking about divorce. This is bad. An hour later, Jessica called me. Can you come over? Drove to her place, found her on the couch. Not crying this time, just sitting. My mom called, crying, begging. Jessica's voice was flat when she repeated it. She called me Sarah, wrong name. Too upset to even remember mine. Said please tell Owen to drop the complaints. Said Walter's leaving her. Said Connor and Mallory won't talk to her. Said she'll lose the house. What did you say? I said, you already lost it when you called my son not real family. Then I said goodbye and hung up. She looked at me. Then I sat here and cried for 20 minutes. I sat down next to her. She leaned against me. First time we'd been this close in 6 years. Her head on my shoulder, my arm around her. I chose my son over my mom, she said quietly. You chose what was right. It doesn't feel right, it feels awful. Yeah, sometimes those are the same thing. We sat like that for a while. Week later, Jessica drove to Sacramento. I offered to come with her for the Attorney General interview. She said no, I need to do this part myself. 2-hour interview with a state investigator. Questions about the custodian arrangement, account access, communication with Diane. Jessica showed them texts, voicemails, the email trail going back years. Confirmed the amounts. Confirmed the dates. Confirmed the real family statement word for word. Signed her testimony. Drove home. Texted me from the car. Done. Investigator said they're filing criminal charges next week. How do you feel? Numb, but sure. That evening, Tyler asked Jessica why she'd gone to Sacramento. She told him everything. He listened, processed, asked one question. Will Grandma go to jail? I don't know, maybe. Tyler's response. Good. The Attorney General filed charges 3 weeks later. Grand theft from a minor. Over $40,000. Custodian fraud. Embezzlement. Diane's attorney negotiated a plea deal. Full restitution. $40,000 plus interest and penalties. 2 years probation. 200 hours of community service. Immediate surrender of custodial rights on any and all financial accounts. Alternative was trial with potential 3 to 5 year prison sentence. At 62 years old. Diane took the plea. House went up for sale to cover the restitution. Walter filed for divorce the same month the plea was signed. He kept his postal pension. Diane got nothing from the divorce settlement. Connor and Mallory each contributed $10,000 toward the restitution. They weren't legally required to. Did it anyway. Told Diane directly, so you can't say we benefited from stealing from a kid. Diane moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in Antioch. Restitution was paid in full by early February. Money went into a new 529 account. Owen and Jessica listed as co-custodians this time. Account balance after all the court fees and interest, $43,800. More than before. By February 2025, Diane had lost everything she'd tried to protect. The house she'd refinanced with Owen's co-signature, sold to pay back the money she stole. The marriage to Walter, dissolved the same month the plea deal was signed. The relationship with Connor and Mallory, severed when they learned she'd made them accessories to theft from a child. The connection to her daughter Jessica, broken the moment Diane said, real family, out loud. And Tyler, the grandson she'd dismissed as not mattering, went on with his life without her. The system worked exactly as designed. Custodian steals from a minor account. Custodian faces criminal charges. Custodian pays restitution or goes to prison. Diane chose restitution. She sold her equity, paid back every dollar, and moved into a 1-bedroom apartment alone at 62 years old. Some people call that excessive. The Attorney General's office calls it proportional. Tyler got his acceptance letter in March. Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Engineering program. Opened the envelope at Jessica's apartment while I was there picking him up for dinner. Read it twice. Then looked at both of us. I got in. Jessica started crying immediately. Happy crying. The kind that happens when something you've been stressed about for months finally resolves the right way. Tyler showed me the financial aid package. Full ride based on the court-documented loss of his college fund. State had thrown in an additional grant, $8,000 a year, listed as hardship scholarship. So we actually did it? The money's back? Plus some, and you've got aid on top of that. Tyler processing. Because Grandma stole from me, I got more help than I would have had? Jessica wiped her eyes. Because the system recognized what happened to you and tried to make it right. Does Grandma know I got in? Jessica shook her head. I don't know. I haven't talked to her since November. Tyler's response was immediate. Good. Week later, Jessica texted me. Coffee, need to talk. We met at the same Phil's in San Leandro. Same table by the window we'd sat at months ago when we'd planned the restaurant confrontation. She looked nervous. I've been thinking about something. I waited. The last 9 months, working together on all this. It reminded me why I married you in the first place. I didn't say anything. She continued. You protected our son. You protected me. You gave me space to be strong when I didn't know I could be. I forgot we were good at being partners. We divorced for real reasons, Jess. I know. But those reasons were 6 years ago. We're different people now. What if... She stopped. What if what? What if we tried again? Slowly. See if there's still something there? I looked at her for a long moment. Thought about the last 9 months. The late-night phone calls. The way we'd stood together in that restaurant. The way she'd leaned against me on her couch when everything with Diane had fallen apart. There's something there. I felt it in November when you stood up in that restaurant. I felt it every time you texted me updates about Tyler. I just didn't think you'd want to. I want to try. We told Tyler together a week later. Sat him down at my kitchen table. Both of us there. Felt like we were about to deliver bad news even though we weren't. We've been spending more time together lately, not just because of the legal stuff. We're trying to see if we work as a couple again. Tyler's face went blank. Processing mode. Then, are you serious? Jessica nervous. Yes, is that okay? Okay, are you kidding? I've been hoping for this since I was like 12. I looked at him. Really? Dad, you guys work together better than any married couple I know. You just didn't live in the same house. This is great. Jessica started crying again. I started laughing. Tyler grinned. Can I tell people my parents are dating? That's hilarious. You're both 40 and dating like teenagers. Jessica. I'm 34, basically 40. We all laughed. Real moment. Earned. Honest. 6 months later was Tyler's 18th birthday. Small party at my house. Tyler's friends from school. Connor and Mallory showed up. They'd stayed in Tyler's life, cut Diane off completely. Jessica's dad came too, still horrified by what his ex-wife had done. Jessica had moved in the month before. Tyler's stuff had been split between 2 places for 6 years. Now it was all in one house again. Party wound down around 9. Tyler's friends left. Just us and family remaining. Jessica and I gave Tyler an envelope. He opened it. Car keys inside. 2018 Honda Civic. Paid in cash from the surplus in the college fund after restitution. Tyler speechless. You earned it. You handled everything this year with more maturity than most adults. We're proud of you. Tyler hugged Jessica. Then me. Long hugs. Thanks for fighting for me, both of you. On that same day in June 2025, Diane sat in her 1-bedroom apartment in Antioch, scrolling through Facebook. Tyler had unblocked her temporarily, not to reconnect, but to make sure she could see. The photos from his 18th birthday. Owen and Jessica standing together, arms around each other like they'd never been apart. Tyler between them, grinning, holding car keys. The caption read, "Real family protects each other." The comment section was full. That dad is incredible. Love that the mom stood up too. Parents reuniting to protect their kid is the best ending. That grandmother got exactly what she deserved. Diane read every single comment. Then she looked around her apartment. No pictures on the walls yet. No furniture beyond the basics. No calls scheduled for the week. Connor and Mallory had made their positions clear. They wanted nothing to do with her. Jessica hadn't spoken to her in 8 months. Walter had remarried someone from his church group. And Tyler, the grandson she'd held as a baby, had publicly declared she wasn't family. She'd lost her daughter, her grandson, her stepchildren, her husband, her home, all to fund 2 weddings for people who now refuse to speak to her. September. Jessica and I drove Tyler down to San Luis Obispo. Move-in day. Dorms. His roommate's parents were there too. Pleasant people, normal conversation. They asked us, "How long have you two been married?" Jessica and I looked at each other. 6 years the first time, 3 months the second time. They laughed, thought it was a joke. Tyler clarified, "They're serious. My parents divorced, then remarried." Long story. After we got Tyler's room set up, we walked around campus with him. He was excited, nervous, ready. "You're going to do great here. Call us if you need anything." "I know. Thanks for everything. For real." We hugged, drove back to the Bay Area. Jessica reached for my hand in the truck. I took it. We drove in comfortable silence most of the way home. October. Our living room. Tyler's acceptance letter framed on the wall next to a photo from our second wedding. Small ceremony. Just Tyler and a few close friends. TV on low. Jessica's head on my shoulder. She was scrolling her phone. Stopped. My mom sent me a Facebook message. First contact in almost a year. Showed me the screen. "I'm sorry. I made terrible choices. I lost everything that mattered. I understand if you never forgive me, but I needed you to know I'm sorry." Jessica looked at me. "What do I say?" "That's your call, not mine." She typed, "I hope you find peace, but we're not ready for more than that." Sent it. Blocked her again. Was that okay? It was honest. That's what matters. We sat there. TV murmuring. House quiet. "Thank you for making me brave." "You were always brave. I just made sure you weren't alone when you needed to be." Tyler's future was secure. $43,000 in a college fund that Jessica and I both controlled. Full ride to Cal Poly, a car, parents who chose him over everything else. Our family wasn't perfect, but it was real. Some people will say Owen went too far. That filing criminal charges against a 62-year-old grandmother was cruel. That forcing the sale of her home and the destruction of her marriage was excessive revenge for a family dispute. But here's what actually happened. A custodian stole $40,000 from a minor's college fund. Not borrowed. Not temporarily reallocated. Deliberately taken by the person legally entrusted to protect it. And when confronted, that custodian said the child wasn't real family. That wasn't a slip of the tongue. That was a position held with confidence. Owen didn't take revenge. He used the legal system exactly as it was designed to function. The California Attorney General prosecutes custodian fraud because minors cannot protect themselves from the adults given legal control over their money. The mortgage company raised Diane's interest rate because cosigner financial reviews exist to protect lenders from high-risk borrowers who commit financial crimes. The consequences weren't disproportionate. They were textbook. Diane lost her house because she needed $40,000 to repay what she'd stolen. She lost her marriage because Walter blamed her for the legal consequences of her own actions. She lost her relationship with Connor and Mallory because they were horrified to learn they'd been made accomplices to theft from a teenager. And she lost her daughter and grandson because she had called that grandson not real family, and meant it. The real story here isn't that Owen destroyed Diane. It's that Diane destroyed herself and then blamed everyone else for watching it happen. 6 years of divorce hadn't brought Owen and Jessica back together. Separate lives, separate homes, successful co-parenting through text messages and coordinated drop-offs. But 9 months of protecting their son reminded them why they'd been partners in the first place. Not because trauma bonds people, because shared values do. They both believed Tyler mattered more than keeping peace with Diane. They both believed standing up was worth the cost. And they both discovered they were better together than apart. Diane sits in her apartment now and probably tells herself she's the victim. That her family abandoned her over money. That her ex-son-in-law manipulated the system to punish her for one mistake. But Tyler's at Cal Poly with a full ride, a car, and $43,000 in a college fund with 2 custodians who would never steal from him. His parents chose him over everything else. They stood up in a restaurant. They filed complaints. They testified. They protected him. That's not revenge. That's just what protection looks like when you take it seriously.